In this video, we're going to describe data using the 5-number summary and create a box and whisker plot. So to give us a setting to work with, we have this context here. It says you are a safety inspector for public swimming pools, and the CDC recommends a chlorine concentration of at least 1 part per million in pools and at least 3 parts per million in hot tubs and spas. You gather a sample of chlorine concentrations from public swimming pools in the area, and you obtain the following data. For your convenience, the data has been sorted. And so that's kind of a key line right there. You have to be working with sorted data to be able to find this 5-number summary. So if your data is not sorted, you first have to put the numbers in order. Because this data is already sorted, we don't have to worry about that. But it's something you want to watch out for. Okay, so the 5-number summary is simply taking your data and breaking it into 4 equally sized pieces. So we're going to look for the minimum, and then we're going to look for the median. These are things we've looked for in this class already. And then we're going to look for the maximum. And then in between the smallest and the middle, you would say is a fourth. So we call this the first quartile, Q1, the first quartile. And then in between the middle and the end, the max, you'd have the third quartile. So you're breaking your data into fourths. The smallest number is the minimum. Then the number that's at the first fourth, the second fourth is the median, the third fourth is the third quartile, and the fourth fourth is the max, the biggest number. So first we're going to count how many numbers we have. So if you look at how many numbers you have and you start counting, you'll see that in this list we have n equals 15 numbers. So we have to find the middle number. That'll be the median. So if you have 15 numbers, we're going to start counting from the left. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. Looking for like half dividing by 2 will give us something around the middle. So we're actually looking for the 8th number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is your median, 1.3. So I'm going to list that, 1.3 for the median. And if you notice, we would have 7 numbers on the left and 7 numbers on the right. So we have the median. The minimum is easy. That's just the smallest number, 0.9. And the largest number, the max, is easy, 2.2. So now the question is, what do I do about this first quartile and this third quartile? So what we do is we have our left half right here. This is our smaller half. And we have our larger half. We've got this kind of broken into pieces. So my smaller half, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers. So if I could find the middle of that, I would have the first quartile. So I'm going to look for the fourth number, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my first quartile. Notice with the first quartile, I have 3 on the left and 3 on the right. So my first quartile is 1.1. And then in my upper half, I have 1.6 because I have 3 on the left, 3 on the right. Notice this example just worked out that I always had a middle number, but often if you have an even number of numbers, like if instead of 7 numbers there were 6, then instead of having one middle number, you'll have 2 numbers in the middle and you have to average the 2. So that's something to watch out for. So that is your 5-number summary. We have the smallest value, the largest value, and each fourth, the first quartile, the median, and the third quartile. So what a box and whisker plot does is it's a way of visualizing these snapshots. The first thing you're going to do is make a number line that's kind of well labeled. So my smallest value is 0.9 and my largest is 2.2. So I might start my number line at like 0.5, so kind of some nice number. And then I can do like ticks up to 1, so 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, and then 1, and then so on. 1.5, 2, 2.5. So I have a scaled number line, and you could probably use, you could try to make sure that your tick marks are evenly spaced and things. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create the structure of box and whisker. So I'm going to draw a box. I'm going to draw a vertical line above the first quartile. So 1.1 on my number line is right here. 1.6, here's 1.5, so 1.6 is right here. And I'm going to turn that into a box. That's my box. Then we add a line in the box, somewhere in the box, not necessarily in the middle, at the median, 1.3. So here's 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 is right here. That's the median. And then I draw whiskers up to the max and down to the min. So the whiskers look like this. I'm going to find 2.2. So here's 2, 2.1, 2.2 is right here. And I make a little tick mark and I draw a line up to here. And then 0.9, so here is 1, so 0.9 is right here. That's my box and whisker plot. Now I should have labeled this as well. This is concentration parts per million, given in the problem. So right here it says chlorine concentration parts per million. So this is my box and whisker plot. You can even make it nice. You could put like a border around it or something like that. And we're going to be able to use this to visualize data. So I can quickly see the middle right here. The middle at 1.3 tells me that in this data set a typical chlorine concentration, and so on. The last thing I wanted to show you was remind you about shapes. We had seen shapes in previous lessons, but I wanted you to be able to see the shape on a box and whisker plot. If you have a symmetric histogram, your box and whisker plot will also have some symmetry. My left whisker and my right whisker look like they're about the same lengths. My middle regions on this box are about the same size, so this would be a symmetric box and whisker plot. If you have a skewed left box and whisker plot, you start to see like one half gets stretched more than the other half. And same thing with skewed right. Uniform, all four regions are roughly the same size, and in this example the bimodal actually looks kind of similar as well, so it's hard to kind of tell. Uniform you can kind of tell. Bimodal is hard to see in a box and whisker plot because you don't get to see the gap. But if I look at the shape right here, I kind of imagine pinning down the middle. This middle right here is the median, and it's literally the middle of the data. So right here is my left half, and right here is my right half. My right half is much more stretched out than my left half, so it looks kind of like this skewed right shape. So you might call this shape slightly skewed right. It's not quite as skewed. This example down here is clearly skewed, and this whisker is much longer, and this one looks more subtle, so slightly skewed right. Just wanted to be able to make a connection to shape and these graphical displays as a box and whisker plot. All right, now you have one to try. Your turn. We're going to revisit our penguin situation. You have data. The data actually are in order again. The data have been sorted. So you can find the different components we talked about and make your own box and whisker plot.